Nicole Mikoda. I'm here with Pastor Ryan today, and oh my word, today so much. Like we could be here for a long time, but we promised that it would just be short.
Handful of minutes.
That's
right.
But the visual to this week of letting the shield down was, I mean, I know you could have drawn it probably better on the whiteboard.
Oh man, I miss the whiteboard.
You could have drawn it. But with the little stick figure people and the shields down and the hearts open, I just think that really speaks to vulnerability.
Yep.
And I had read just recently that the opposite of vulnerability is pride. So what God's asking us to do is to let go of ourselves.
Yeah.
Let go of what we think and basically like surrender.
Yep.
And put the shield down. But it is so hard. It is so hard, I think.
It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah, it's scary. I think I was thinking about it this week. There's obviously too much to get into. We could go so many directions with this passage. But really, at the end of the day, that's where like fear of the Lord comes in, to say, of all of the things that could happen in my life, I actually have the most reverence for God, right? Like, man, God could do whatever he wanted in my life, both positive or negative, and I want to look at him and revere him the most, more than a circumstance or another group of people. Like
or myself.
Like I'm scared of what I could do with my life, right? Like we were talking about this a little bit before. Like sometimes we get in these zones where I think, well, this is all I've ever known. This is all my parents have ever known. This is all my people have ever done. This is probably all I can do.
Right. And God is saying, oh, no, I'm God, and I am so much bigger, and you're limiting me.
Right.
And I was thinking we were talking about that earlier, too, like the circus elephants, when they're little, they get chained to like a stake in the ground with a bracelet on, a little chain on their leg.
Yeah.
And they stay there, and then eventually, over time, they take the chain off because the elephant has been trained, whether they're chained or not, to stay there.
They're there.
They're there. They're not going anywhere. And I think God's like, no, go to the ends of the earth.
That's it.
Go do these things for me. Be the salt and light. And we're like, nope, I'm right here in my little circus tent. I'm going to stay. Good.
I'm
safe,
comfy.
Comfortable. But we're not really called to a life of safety and comfort.
And I think that's part of the draw, too, of following God is an amazing adventure. You know what I mean? But sometimes the adventure gets really, really real, where it's like I have real skin in the game. And I don't know, I feel it more as a father and as a husband, and being responsible for like others. There's other people involved.
Humans.
Like, how much risk am I willing to take here now that
Right.
I've got these other people involved, and what does it mean to live kind of out there for Christ? And I don't know, I get excited about it because I think there's a side of me that thinks if all following Jesus is kind of staying in your little spot, I don't know, it doesn't feel, that's not exciting.
Who wants to follow God like that?
Right? I want to follow like a big God. And I think about my life today, and I think none of what I'm experiencing right now was on my radar. Right? Like I never intended to do this with my life. I didn't even know if I would have a family. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I love what God has given me. And so, but I never envisioned it for myself. And I want to believe that like the next chapters are going to be as awesome as this one, but it might be different. You know what I mean? Like, who knows where God's going to lead us?
Right.
Right? And I want to be open to that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that, I don't know, just the visual of this week and of God talking about working on the Sabbath and kind of what that all entails, and that we can, even when we're in front of this amazing God that's doing these amazing things, we go to our safety of, so right. For some of us, it's our rules and procedures, and it's like, no, we don't do that on the Sabbath. And God's like, yeah, not really. We're going to do it on the Sabbath because I'm God.
Right. Right. Yeah, and that's even what the passage, like if you read the rest of John 5, Jesus is going to go into this where he basically says, hey, my Father and I, like we're working on the Sabbath. And everybody, the Jewish world at that time would have recognized the only people that work on the Sabbath are God, right? And so for Jesus to say, my Father's working on the Sabbath, I'm working on the Sabbath, he's basically telling these leaders, hey, I'm God. Like, I can do this because this is what God does. I made the Sabbath, right? I'm a big deal. And I don't know, I love that he works that way, and he shows us, I am the one who can be trusted with your life. Like, it's not going to get any better than my plan for it.
But do you want to be well?
Do you want to be well?
Do you want to be well? Like,
Man.
I'm here to do it, but do you,
wanna
want to be well?
Man, it's a question, isn't it?
$1 million question.
I know, and I feel like it just doesn't go away in a good way. Like, no matter how far we go, I can keep becoming more like Christ. What's exciting is I can find more freedom, right? I want to know that and believe that the farther down the road I get, the better it's going to get. Doesn't mean it's pain-free, but there's more joy and more peace and more purpose down that road.
Right.
Right? And my lame little comfort zone right here is not really where life is found. I want to find it out there.
Because I think sometimes in our society, we get comfort and contentment confused.
Oof.
And
that's really profound.
Contentment in the Lord is not the same as being comfortable.
That's exactly right. Wow.
Profound thoughts right here at
Nicole,
the Weekend
that's really
Extra.
Good. That's really good. Yeah, you're right. Like I can have contentment in the Lord in the middle of an absolute hurricane in my life.
Exactly.
Right? I can be comfortable, have all of the financial and the security and the blah, 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 and I can be at absolute unrest internally.
Right.
Right? I can kind of hate my life and be comfortable. Right?
Right. But contentment is
paradox.
Right. I mean, contentment comes from knowing God is who he says he is and trusting him, having the shield down and letting him do his thing.
That's it. And we know God through that process. Like, right? We share and get to understand and experience God by taking those risks. I think about the fact that one of the things that God said the most in the scriptures is do not fear. Right? There's a reason why, right? Because he's like calling us out over and over. I want to give you a different kind of life than you want for yourself.
And he's God, and his kind of life is something I think sometimes, bigger than we can ask or imagine, right? Because we just can't get it in our heads.
Yeah, these weeks all link together a little bit, don't they? I love that. You see Jesus working. It's powerful.
Well, we'll see what you come up with next week as we go. So we just want to thank you for stopping in on the Weekend Extra. And this is Nicole and Ryan signing off. We'll see you next week.